Hello, everyone, and welcome to Courage and Conversation. I'm Janet Nordine of Las Vegas Play Therapy. And this morning, my guest is Heather Fairley Denbrough. Good morning, Heather. How are you?
Hello, I'm well.
Great. You and I are on the same coast, so it is morning for us still. Tell us a little bit about yourself for those that may not know you, you're new to some of our viewers.
Sure. So I am Heather. I am a registered play therapist supervisor and a certified synergetic play therapy supervisor.
Mhm.
Um, I work in community mental health at my beloved agency in Vancouver, Washington, the Children's Center. And I've been here for next month, it will be 15 years.
Wow, that's
Wow.
really dedication to stay at an agency for that long.
Yeah, I love this place. I've worked really hard and our team has worked really hard to make
Mhm.
it a place that it's a truly amazing place to work. And our staff reflect that to us all the time. So I'm really proud of that. And then I also have a consultation practice, playful integration, and I do workshops and play therapy education and consultation groups and one-on-one sort of like advanced play therapy case consultation, which is one of my favorite things to do in the entire world.
Love that. I
And
have taken a few of your courses that have been recorded, and I've enjoyed them so much and learned so much from you. Specifically the one on suicide, which we're going to talk about in a moment.
yeah,
Do you remember where you and I met?
yes. So we met in San Diego.
Mhm.
And it's a little bit hard for me to remember the year
I
because
know
I
time continuum is strange, isn't it?
oh my gosh, I think it was 2022. Was
Sure.
it?
Let's
I
go
think
with that. Might have
um
been. I
so
know
we
it's
met
during the pandemic when I was exhausted from working. I felt like 24/7 and needed a break.
oh my gosh, yes. And it was so it was a retreat headed up by Lisa Dion and Jen Taylor. And wonderful Claire Mellenthin was supposed to be there too, but she couldn't come, and I don't remember why.
There
Um,
was
I
a family
remember,
situation, I believe. Yeah. Yeah.
but I remember that retreat just being fantastic, like
Mhm.
exactly what I felt like I needed at
Yes.
that point in the pandemic.
Me too. And that was my first exposure to either Jen or Lisa. The reason I went was I'm exhausted. San Diego is close. Oh, there's an ocean also. I'm going to this. And I didn't know a soul there. I didn't know much about either of them. And that was a pivotal time in my career. Like, oh, these people are like the real deal.
Yeah.
Right. And so it was funny because I was at a different table for day one, and as an introvert and a person that has like I like consistency, and I came in day two and somebody had sat in my chair. I was like, oh gosh. And I didn't know anyone, so I couldn't say, excuse me, can I? So I came and sat next to you because you were at a table with an open, and then it was fantastic. Because then
Oh,
I sat and
yeah.
watched you cross stitch for the whole next couple of
Oh,
days
yeah.
and was
Mhm.
amazed of like, how is she doing that live time with something that was said in a quote?
That's ADHD for you, Janet. That's the power of ADHD.
Yes, it's a superpower for sure, right?
It totally
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. And I remember thinking like, don't you have to count stitches when you're yeah, anyway.
Luckily, what I do is embroidery, and that's why I
Mm.
do it because
Oh,
embroidery is a lot more freeform and I can do anything I want. I actually can't tolerate cross stitch.
oh, sorry. I
Oh, it's
misspoke. I was
fine.
this is how
Oh,
uncrafty I am in that
it's
area,
so
so I didn't know.
exacting that
Yeah.
my whirly, swirly brain does not like it.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, now I've learned something new. There's a difference. Didn't know.
Mm.
Well, I look back on that time fondly, and this was a lovely weekend, and still friends with, the other people that were at our table, Facebook friends, and just enjoy those connections that we made
Mhm.
there. And since that time, I've just this week graduated with my certified synergetic play therapist certificate. So
I
I'm one of you.
know. I'm so happy for you.
Yeah, it's made a big deal in my life for sure. And
Mine too.
yeah, Lisa's fantastic, Lisa Dion. Um, And then that was where Jen Taylor announced about Africa, and I ended up going on that trip. So that was a big game changer weekend for me. So yeah.
Oh yeah.
Um, so tell us a little bit about what you're going to be speaking on. This is when I was deciding with Lynn Louise Wonders to put this program together, I told her, sometimes you go to play therapy conferences and things that are hard don't get spoken of. So I
Mm,
really wanted to have something on sexual abuse and something on neurodiversity and things that are more hard hitting. And then I was like, we need Heather to come and speak about suicide because you do it differently than anyone else I've heard. And I agree with how you teach. And um, yeah, so will you share a little bit about what you're going to be teaching us?
sure. So, um, partway through the pandemic, at my agency, we realized that we were having a drastic increase in critical incidents. So, kids attempting suicide, kids making suicidal gestures,
Mhm.
um, increased suicidal ideation kind of across the board with all the kids that we were seeing. There was a lot of intensity there that had really drastically gone up since the pandemic started. And I have always been drawn to kind of what I think of like the darker side of play therapy.
Yeah.
Um, so working with like dark, intense stuff, my nervous system thrives on that.
Mhm. What
Um,
people would consider dark, but are actually very human reactions to life and living, right?
yes, yes, exactly.
Hmm.
Um, and so I started working with several children, who were experiencing that stuff and really exploring some different approaches with them, seeing kind of what worked and what didn't work. I was using so we do a safety plan at my agency, and I was just seeing such young kids that I thought, well, this safety plan doesn't really work to
Hmm.
engage a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old or even a 6, 7, 8, 9-year-old,
Yeah.
right?
And some studies are showing that safety plans are merely sometimes a piece of paper,
Yeah,
right, for people.
exactly.
Hmm.
And I think we have a pretty good one at our agency, and we have it designed so that the part of it that the client gets is it's just the part of it that they need. It's the
Right.
what are you going to do in a crisis, like that part. So I think we have a pretty solid one,
Hmm.
but it
Right.
doesn't really work when you're working with much younger children. Like they can't
Correct.
read, they don't know what you're talking about.
Sometimes they're like safety, what is that even a concept, right? Yeah.
Exactly. So I started thinking about how can we effectively safety plan with children who are quite young, who are
Mhm.
experiencing suicidal ideation.
Right.
So I did a lot of research into, okay, well, for younger kids, what are the most common causes of suicidal ideation? And what are protective factors against later attempting suicide or completing suicide? And the thing that I found in this research is that above almost anything else you can think of, building stress management skills in very young children leads to lessened self harm, suicide attempts, and suicidal completion later, all the way up through adolescence.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
it's a
Wow.
huge, huge thing that we can do. So I started developing a tool that I use. It's really, really simple. A tool that I use to effectively make a visual safety plan with
Hmm.
a very young child, with their participation, with their buy in, and with their engagement. And then I teach parents how to implement it in a way where the child can actually fully own it and
Right.
then they will use it.
And I would imagine having the parents involved, there's a lot of fear, terror even for the parent to have this very small child making
Yeah.
these types of statements that maybe the child doesn't even understand, but there's a felt sense in their body of what that feels like and why they're saying it. And helping a parent be okay with planning for safety in a way that's for the child and not just for the parent, because sometimes parents, you know, we get terrified.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think it's important to note, Janet, it's a really common misconception that kids that age don't understand what they're saying,
Right.
but when
Right.
actually we know that
Yeah.
many children do absolutely understand
Hmm.
what it
Sure.
means to say, I want to die. They
Yeah.
understand that death is final,
Hmm.
and children as young as 5 have completed suicide.
Yeah. Absolutely. And from parents' viewpoint, like, oh, they don't really know what they're talking about, or they're, not, they've overheard that in a show or those kinds of things, but you're
Yeah,
absolutely
that was
correct.
prevalent thinking for a very
Yeah.
long time.
They understand that feeling in their body, and however it comes out in a verbal way is what we
Yeah.
need to pay close attention to.
Yep.
Because, all humans, including children, are not going to say, I want to die and I want to kill myself. There are these subtle statements as well that we need to pick up on.
Yep. There
Yeah.
are. There are other kinds of statements. So I will be, part of my presentation is going over, how do we as play therapists know what's happening in therapy sessions that might indicate to us that a child is feeling
Right.
suicidal,
Right.
even if they haven't directly been able to say it.
Right.
So there are things in play that we can see. There
Mhm.
are other factors that we can be aware of
Mhm.
so that we really know what's going on with a kid and are they
Mhm.
thinking about that?
And will that be something that you will cover in your presentation, like what to look for, even if the statement
Yep.
is not made? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So important. There's themes in play, as we know, right? And
Hmm.
how are we picking up on those themes? And also, how are we feeling in our own felt sense and
Hmm.
coming from our own histories and our own, epigenetics of what we've experienced in our lives and
Yep.
mother that had a mother that had a mother. How do we pick up on that? And how do we also in our own bodies take a breath and be okay when the presentation is here?
Yes, exactly. So a lot of building these stress management skills with kids is modeling for
Hmm.
that when we get stressed, what do we do? So we know that young children learn primarily by play and observation.
Right.
Those are the ways that they do it. So if we can involve play and
Hmm.
provide them with a person to watch, right? A
Right.
person to observe. When I become stressed, how am I noticing it? How am I naming
Hmm.
it?
Yeah.
How am I becoming really aware of what I need to do to let go of that stress again? So
Mhm.
something I do a lot with young kids is like one of the ways that you can teach a child what is stress, right? Because that's
Mhm.
our first part of it is we talk
Yeah.
about what even is that
Yeah.
is I do it in the body. So I
Yeah.
do a lot of like
Hmm. Yeah.
"Mm," and then I say, so what makes you go from
Yes.
to
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And then little even 3-year-olds understand it when I do that. They know
Yeah.
exactly what I'm talking about.
It's fantastic. I love
Mhm.
it. Well, I'm so excited that this is going to be a topic that is available. And you're presenting on Sunday afternoon. And what I'm going to share right now is that after June 1st, when the early bird rate ends, we're going to be opening up to purchase just one CE because in Nevada we need our suicide CEs, right? So if people want to just come to that training or just come to one of the ones that's going to be
Wonderful.
covered for cultural diversity, extra people can come. They
Oh,
don't have to, sorry, my light just fell. Sorry, that just startled me. They don't just have to come to the whole thing. They can come just to hear parts that they are needing the CE for or most interested in.
I
So
love that.
surprise. Yeah.
That's wonderful. I mean that speaks to something, Janet, that is also really important to me, which is that play therapy education be accessible
Yes.
to people who might not otherwise be able to access it.
Hmm.
Because we have therapists working all over this country in places where they do not get paid enough to
Right.
go to a lot of these,
Right.
wonderful, but
Hmm.
much more expensive uh, conferences and trainings. And
Yes.
one of the things that means so much to me about your conference that we're doing together is that you and Lynn worked really hard to make this accessible to as many people as you
Yes.
could.
And I've scanned all of the play therapy trainings that are happening because it's a lot right now. There's a lot of options. We're the
Hmm.
lowest price.
Yep.
The hotel is the lowest price. Flying to Vegas is
Yep.
super easy for many places.
It
We're
means
like, I think,
so
the
much
third
to me.
largest airport in the world. So
Hmm. It
come to
really, like, it
Vegas.
was one
Yeah.
of the reasons that I really wanted to be a part of this.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I don't know if you know, but Nevada is 51st in the nation for children's mental health. And this is my passion. Like, how do we help kids in my home state where I've lived my whole life? How do we
Yeah.
help them? And being able to come to a training such as yours, and just even if you just come to the one, if you don't work with children, you have parents and children are experiencing this. And how can you, as a therapist that works with adults, also learn some skills to help
Yep.
those parents?
Absolutely.
Mhm. So excited to have you. Have you been to Vegas before?
No, never.
Really? Wow. Well, you're in for a treat. Your sensory input will be like, wow, so much.
I know that that is true. I may have to take some sensory breaks, but I'm also, I'm so excited to be getting to see everyone else's presentation because I don't know if
Yes.
you know this about me, Janet. I am a professional development nerd.
Me too. I
I
will go. Yeah, I love to travel and train.
Oh,
Hmm.
me too. I love it. It's actually well known among my circle of friends. If Heather's going on vacation, it's probably for play therapy.
Same, same. Mhm. Yeah, because if you can travel to somewhere cool and also, get some training and some fun in at the same time and make it a work
And
situation.
it's a
Yeah,
play therapy community, which is an
absolutely.
amazing group of people.
Absolutely. And I curated this group of people that I love to be with. I didn't just ask people that I didn't know.
I'm so excited to see
Yeah.
everyone else's. I literally hope that I can see every single other person's.
Well, here's the deal. If you come to this conference, you will see every person on there. There's no breakout sessions. Everyone gets their own slot. So you don't have to choose between, Mary Beth Murray and Marshall Lyles or anyone. You just get to
That's
see
like my
everyone in the
dream.
same room, in the same
That's
room.
my dream conference.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll all be in the same room, which is also upstairs away from a casino. So there are some slot machines where we are, but it's not noisy. Um, our vendors will all be in the same room. We will have lunch and breakfast available. People obviously can leave. We're not going to lock the doors, but we're going to be together for, the 3.5 days, just
I'm
in
so
this beautiful
excited.
space. Yeah, yeah.
I think this is
And
just going to be so much fun.
yeah, and the room isn't tiny, so it won't feel like we're squished in there. It's pretty large room.
Oh,
So I'm excited to be at
I'm
the South
excited
Park with
too.
everyone. Yeah. So I've been having some fun with our presenters and doing these rapid fire questions. And so are
Sure,
you ready? Yeah.
sure.
Okay. What is your favorite piece of clothing that you own?
Oh, it is a black dress from Universal Standard.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't have sleeves because that's happy for my sensory issues. And then it has like a big sort of tiered skirt and pockets. And every time I wear it, someone says to me, "That's an amazing dress." And I'm like, I know, right?
And you feel amazing in it, it sounds like
Oh,
too.
yes.
Yeah. What movie do you enjoy watching over and over again?
Well, there's so many. Um, I would have to say probably my top rewatchable film is It's a Wonderful Life. And I've seen that movie. I watch it every holiday season and I cry every single time.
Well, here's the fun fact. I've never seen it. So I've never taken the time at the holidays to watch it. I'm
It's
too busy
incredible.
watching Elf.
It's oh well that's a good one too.
Good
It's
too.
wonderful. It's an absolutely beautiful film about
Mm.
humanity and mental health and
Oh,
how we learn our place in the world.
well, guess what I'm doing soon? Not at Christmas time, maybe, not at the holidays. Um, since you're in the Pacific Northwest, here's a question. What is your favorite rainy day activity?
Oh, there's the first thing that came into my head is there's this little coffee shop called Extracto over,
Mm.
I think on Killingsworth Street maybe. And they have these big windows in the front,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a little table that's right by the windows. And I really like to sit at that table, sometimes with a friend and sometimes not. If I'm by myself, I'll do like letter writing or I'll work on my poetry or something like that. And those big windows are, they're just so pretty with all the rain coming down outside.
Beautiful. It doesn't rain much here, so I love to hear what people do when it rains. Okay, here's the last question. It is a little dark since you said you like dark things.
Oh, okay.
Um, what would be your final meal if you're on death row?
Oh,
I
okay.
love this question.
Okay, the first thing that came into my head, so there is sadly, as far as I know, this does not exist anymore, but there
Mhm.
was this restaurant in Portland, which was like a bar restaurant called the Green Dragon, and they had this mac and cheese that they
Mm,
served in like a little cast iron skillet type thing. So the bottom of it was all like
mm.
I don't know what crusty and
Oh, yeah.
crunchy. And then on the top of it, they would put this one red pepper, like this sort of sweet hot red pepper, and they'd put it right on top. And then what you would do is you could, well, at least this is what I did. You could bite the end off the pepper and then put it back on there, and the pepper
Oh,
juice would run through the mac and cheese. Ah, it was one of the best things I've ever eaten in my life. And sometimes I still think about it clearly.
that's amazing. Like I love food. Vegas is a great foodie place, so that just
Ooh.
sounds fantastic.
Yeah, it was my favorite.
I love that. Well, Heather, it has been delightful reconnecting and chatting with you, and I'm so excited to see you in Las Vegas, September 26th to the 29th, so you can see all the speakers.
Yes, every single one.
Yay. Who are you most excited to hear speak?
I think, oh my gosh, everyone. I can't even decide. I think the
Yeah,
one
right.
really like got me excited, like alert was Marshall Wiles. Because I've
I
never
love
met
Marshall.
Marshall. I've
Mm.
never like I just know, of him and his work. So I'm really excited to have that opportunity.
You are in for a treat because you get to hear him twice.
Ah, yes. I'm
Anyway,
excited.
it's been lovely to chat with you, and I look forward to seeing you. And everyone go to www.lasvegasplaytherapy.com, sign up, and look for after June 1st. If you can't make it to the whole weekend, come and see Heather and learn some new skills on a very important topic.
Yes, come and see me. You're not alone.
Thank you for saying that. Thank you so much, Heather, for making time.
Thank
Take good
you.
take good care, everyone.
Thank you.